Good morning. All right. Today, Trump, officially elected president. He was yesterday. But what does this mean for tech? Mainly for emerging technologies. What's the what's the what's it look like for their future? Some good, some bad. But the theme is regulation or deregulation. Yeah, this is AI generated. It's actually pretty good, like honestly. Like better than I thought it would turn out. All right. So we have I forget this topic. We have a few topics. We're going to talk about AI. We're going to talk about space. We're going to talk about crypto, nuclear power, and antitrust and big tech. But there's not much on antitrust and big tech because I mean it's pretty clear what his views are on that. He hates big tech, but he loves big tech. And then I'd like to also do like more deeper dive on like climate tech because it might be a rough 4 years for that, but I'm curious to see like what the industry actually thinks. But for now, we're gonna focus on kind of these I mentioned, and I think they're all very related because space. We have Elon Musk right here. We have crypto, which Trump he made a world coin or some shit, which is crypto, and he accepts cryptocurrency donations, and he's made it a priority to kind of talk about that. And also nuclear power. Believe it or not, he's talked about nuclear power, and he was actually very pro-nuclear in his last presidency. And with big tech really getting in on nuclear to power data centers to support AI, it's very relevant now. But as he usually does, there's been contradicting opinions he's said, even though like I feel like he doesn't even know what he thinks in a way. So we'll kind of cover that a bit. And then we might just do a quick overview of some of the other things. Now in the future though, the tariffs are big, and I want to cover the tariffs because I think it'll be interesting to actually see what the tariffs will cover, assuming it goes through. So we'll look into that for him too. So to start, let's just read this New York Times article because they did a great job of summarizing a lot of different of these topics. And it's a good start. The red wave that swept Donald J. Trump into re-election did not, despite what some pockers might claim, originate in Silicon Valley. Here in the bluer than blue San Francisco, rank and file tech workers still largely vote for Democrats, and while some prominent tech leaders came out in support of Mr. Trump, most notably Elon Musk and a cluster of right-wing executives and venture capitalists who bankrolled his campaign, many others either supported Kamala Harris or parked themselves comfortably on the sidelines. But whether they voted for Mr. Trump or not, nearly everyone in tech will feel the consequences of a second Trump term, from social media companies to crypto investors to the companies trying to build the next generation of artificial intelligence systems. Mr. Trump's first term was a wild and unpredictable, creating a noisy day-to-day business environment that even the biggest tech companies struggle to navigate. It's likely that more chaos and uncertainty lie ahead. But here are a few predictions I already feel confident making. Musk vindicated. In the Elon Musk saga with Trump is actually wild because when I was doing some research for this, Trump has so many contradictory views to what Elon Musk views, even though they're both kind of, have crazy views. Like Trump doesn't, thinks climate change is a hoax. Musk actually believes in it. Musk obviously has a electric car company. Trump wants to get rid of the EV tax cut. I don't know. It's so like the more you look into it, it's like, bro, I don't know. It's an interesting relationship. Mr. Musk, already the tech industry's most visible and polarizing figure, may have done more than anyone else in America to elect Mr. Trump. He was not only one of Mr. Trump's biggest donors and his highest profile supporter on the campaign trail, he turned X, the social network he owns, into a megaphone for the MAGA movement, flooding users' feeds with pro-Trump content and urging people to vote for him. No one in Silicon Valley has ever put his thumb on the scale this hard, and no one will benefit more from a second Trump presidency than Mr. Musk, who will become the most powerful businessman in America, if he wasn't already. If Mr. Trump appoints Mr. Musk to an official position in the new administration, he has suggested he might put him in charge of a new, quote, Department of Government Efficiency that would cut the federal workforce. Mr. Musk will be in the enviable position of getting to pick who regulates his companies, including Tesla and SpaceX. He could also try and fire anyone who gets in his way, or he could do the government workers what he did to Twitter, ordering huge layoffs and keeping only ones he deems loyal. So that sounds very familiar to Trump's views. In any case, it's all upside for Mr. Musk, whose $44 billion purchase of Twitter and the money he spent getting Mr. Trump elected now look like chump change compared to the value of the influence he'll wield in the new administration. Now, something important to note, like this Department of Government Efficiency thing, several other presidents have done this before. So like this isn't anything like revolutionary. Now, maybe Musk will do, if he actually does get into this position, do something revolutionary. I doubt, but this isn't new. Like several other presidents have done this. CEOs kiss the ring, and this is crazy. Like this is like, it's like be friends or be the enemy. Like it's like there's not really an in-between, and with Trump, what he said before about going after his enemies, like it's kind of crazy how that now you have to essentially befriend him, or at least be friendly to him, or he's gonna do something on the whim. And we'll look at Sundar Pichai, the Google Alphabet CEO, because yeah, he's shivering a bit. It won't be Mr. Musk cozying up to Mr. Trump. Many Silicon Valley leaders will try to get on the good side of incoming administration in a hurry. During Mr. Trump's first term, some tech leaders stood up to him, quitting various advisory councils and challenging some of his policies. But they saw that publicly opposing Trump carried a price, sometimes a literal one. Amazon has argued in court that it lost out on a $10 billion contract with the Defense Department because Mr. Trump's, quote, personal vendetta against Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, who owns the Washington Post. Now, this is contested because Microsoft actually won the agreement, and while this may be the case, I feel like this is still a bit of a stretch here. I think Amazon was just butthurt they lost a huge contract to Microsoft, so I don't know. They won't make the same mistake again. Some prominent tech leaders started currying favor for Mr. Trump before the election in case he won, including Mark Zuckerberg, the chief executive of Meta, whom Mr. Trump previously threatened to put in jail. Even Mr. Trump's old foes like Mr. Bezos have already largely steered clear of criticizing him. Mr. Bezos already sent Mr. Trump a congratulatory message on X. A few tech leaders will quietly fume about Mr. Trump, and some may even dare to oppose him publicly. But given the displays of, I looked this word up before and I can't remember how to pronounce it. Obsequiousness we saw during the campaign, I would expect to see most tech chief executives quietly tolerate, if not enthusiastically support, his second-term agenda. Yeah, I mean, and that's why they're doing it is, it's like they want those corporate tax cuts. They don't want to be pursued, especially big tech. Meta has every interest now that they're getting into more Defense Department stuff to cozy up to Trump to kind of be the guy, the open source model for them to use. Bezos has a Blue Origin, which is a space company, and he wants government contracts. And AWS wants, more cloud computing contract. I mean, yeah, it's like they all just want to be in their favor, I guess. And to be fair, I'm sure they all did the same thing with Biden, like I don't think it was, the other way around. But it also just, I mean, kind of shows they're a bit spineless, but that was already known, let's be honest. All right. Crypto swoons. Now, we actually covered Coinbase, with their earnings on the previous stream on the show here, and we saw that they, were donating significant amounts of money in other crypto firms to, pro-crypto PACs, which were trying to elect pro-crypto members of the House and Congress. And yeah, Trump is super pro-crypto all of a sudden, granted. And yeah, Bitcoin popped off. Let's just look at the Bitcoin price. It's since subsided a bit, but still, it's gone up, Like, this is, yeah, right here. Popped off. Dang, it's actually still carrying. It went down a bit, but it's still carrying, yeah. And again, the theme is deregulation. And we'll get into it here with old Gary Gensler. Mr. Trump used to be skeptical of crypto, but over the past year, he has become a vocal supporter of the crypto industry and has made campaign promises to various industries, industry causes in exchange for millions of dollars in contributions from pro-crypto groups, including, somewhat oddly, vowing to commute the prison sentence of Ross Ulbricht, the founder of Silk Road dark web market, who's become a folk hero in libertarian crypto circles. That is so, like, that is like this timeline is just insane, bro. It's a safe bet that in a second Trump administration, the crypto industry will get most of what it wants in Washington, starting with the removal of Gary Gensler, the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission, who has become a villain among crypto companies for his tough regulation efforts. Crypto companies that were being sued or investigated under Biden administration may see those cases dropped under Trump administration, and pro-crypto voices are likely to sway when it comes to write new rules for the industry. Crypto prices could go to the moon, kind of already have a little bit. Already Bitcoin prices were spiking Tuesday on the news of Mr. Trump's strong early returns. And the investors and crypto executives who pour millions of dollars into electing Trump and other pro-crypto candidates that are likely to feel that they got their money's worth. Yeah, i.e. Coinbase, Ripple, Mark Andreessen, the venture capitalists, they were all big in that one pack that we kind of looked at, big donors, like tens of millions of dollars. And we'll dive deeper into crypto, but we're just gonna keep an overview. Here's old Gary Gensler. Nice. Yeah, I had a few bucks in Coinbase because I've been buying a bit for a while, just dollar cost averaging. So yeah, fortunately paid off. But I don't know, Bitcoin's like a gold kind of thing now. That's what I look at it. It's like a buy and hold if, apocalypse happened. Even though if the apocalypse happened, we'd probably have no internet, no electricity. So I'm not sure how Bitcoin will hold up, but we'll dive more into crypto. I have two articles here that we'll quickly go over. Yeah, Trump has a lot of views on crypto actually, but I'll talk about it more later. But I feel like it's kind of just like him wanting to he just wanted votes. Who knows if he'll actually do it? I mean, he's definitely going to remove Gary Gensler, and that actually will help because Coinbase is suing the SEC right now, which we kind of talked about a bit, because they want clear regulatory rules. They want to know what the rules actually are because Coinbase has things like the USDT, the EUDT. There's two stable coins, which are essentially a security. They're essentially like they need to be treated like a bank because you need to have a certain amount in a reserve. And I feel like they don't like that. And so I think they want clear rules. And removing Gary Gensler will clear the rules by removing them. So yeah, anyways. Antitrust woes die down except for Google. Dude, Google is just, yeah. Mr. Trump and his allies are likely to get rid of anyone associated with the Biden administration's antitrust battles with big Silicon Valley tech companies. Already, Mr. Musk said Lina Khan, the head of the Federal Trade Commission, who spearheaded the agency's cases against companies like Amazon and Meta, will be fired. This is Lina Khan right here. Yeah, she's head of the Federal Trade Commission, been very hard on big tech and antitrust, just antitrust in general, and it's been great to see, but unfortunate that it won't, play out any longer. You'd also expect Mr. Trump to clear out the Justice Department and replace the enforcers responsible for bringing cases against companies like Apple. The one tech giant that may not benefit from a change of antitrust guard is Google. Pro-Trump conservatives, including J.D. Vance, have been angry at Google for years. They have claimed without much evidence that the company is biased against conservatives, and Mr. Trump supported efforts to break it up during his first term. These days, the company is regularly cast as a punching bag in right-wing culture wars, even for issues such as whether its AI systems can generate racially accurate images of historical figures, and it hasn't been as adept at lobbying Republicans as some of its peers. It's going to be a hard 4 years for Google in Washington, no matter how many courtesy calls made by Sundar Pichai, the company's chief executive. So big tech's just going to go crazy, and I think there's going to be a more darker theme of spying, because Trump wants to get rid of like FISA, which essentially will allow warrantless spying on its own citizens, and big tech's going to be a big partner in that because they have a lot of this information that they would otherwise want from these warrants, and the fact that you could kind of just go I'm sure with big tech though you'll need warrants to garner their information, but I don't know, it just doesn't look like a very bright future for data privacy and online privacy in general, or just privacy in general. Also considering the mass deportation, if people are going to become banging on your door and just want to search your home or some shit for some illegals, like that would be insane. And then there's TikTok and social media's I think we'll talk about social media, but that's another thing on sound. Also, imagining going to the Capitol to protest the removal of TikTok. Like, no offense, but like, imagine being a single issue voter on TikTok. You're like, I want TikTok. I don't want it to be sold. Like, that's my single issue. That's my single issue I'll vote on. Unless you have a business on there, but honestly, just go YouTube Shorts, fucking Instagram Reels. I think even Snapchat has that. Like, bro, TikTok doesn't even have good ad rev share compared to other platforms either. Who are these people? Anyways, TikTok survives. One tech company that may be toasting Mr. Trump's victory is ByteDance, the Chinese conglomerate that owns TikTok. Under the, quote, TikTok ban bill that was passed by Congress and signed into law this year, ByteDance was supposed to sell off TikTok's U.S. operations by January or face a nationwide ban. That probably won't happen now, because Mr. Trump, who spent much of his first term in office trying to ban TikTok, changed his mind this year, reportedly after an intense lobbying effort by a major ByteDance investor. Like, bro, you have no spine? I mean, yeah, but like, come on. I wonder how much money, too. Actually, $46 million. Philadelphia-based Jeffrey Yass, a libertarian trading firm who started as a professor of political, now a major investor in TikTok's Chinese owner ByteDance. Interesting. $46 million. That's how much it costs to pay off Trump here to not ban TikTok. Since then, he has pledged to save TikTok in the United States. Mr. Trump can't repeal a law without Congress, and TikTok could lose its appeals in court. So there's still a chance a TikTok ban might go into effect. Mr. Trump could simply refuse to enforce it or otherwise make good on his pledge to leave the company alone. Now this is the interesting part, and we might do a deeper dive on a different stream too. People want their human generated slop, exactly. So yeah, this is interesting. Okay. AI progress accelerates. Neither Mr. Trump nor Ms. Harris has said about... Is Harris not married? Neither Mr. Trump nor Ms. Harris said much about artificial intelligence on the campaign trail, but it's safe to bet that AI progress will continue under a second Trump administration and might even speed up. Again, the theme is deregulation. Some of the tech elites who supported Mr. Trump, including the venture capitalist Mark Andreessen, are associated with the, quote, accelerationist wing of the AI movement and may oppose any AI regulation that could slow the industry down. To be honest, I bet against Mr. Trump spending much time thinking about AI at all. Quote, he might, this isn't a quote, I don't know why I said that. He might delegate it to Mr. Vance, who does seem to have some interest in the subject. And it's important to know that Vance is like he's well versed in the Silicon Valley sphere, because I'm pretty sure that's where he came from, and he's like close with Peter Thiel, who's, you know, I don't even know what his political views are, but he's very conservative and he's a billionaire. Like PayPal, he started PayPal, Palantir, and so Vance is more well versed in the tech stuff. But to the extent Mr. Trump's views on AI will be shaped by the people in his orbit, it's likely to be in the direction of encouraging American tech companies to race ahead of rivals in China and elsewhere, and removing regulatory roadblocks that might get in their way. Interestingly, Mr. Musk is a bit of a wild card here. He runs an AI company, XAI, that would benefit from light touch regulation. But he also worries about the existential risk from AI and supported a controversial California bill that would have imposed safety standards on AI models, which many AI companies opposed. Yeah, this is another thing that, you know, Musk has opposing views of Trump on, which is interesting. But this accelerationist wing, I might do a deep dive on Monday about effective accelerationism, or EAC. It's essentially libertarian tech bros who want zero regulation on technological innovation, so we could essentially like accelerate, you know, our technological prowess in the United States, and be kind of the first person to kind of create the artificial general intelligence, or that super AI that kind of runs everything, like Scythe. Like, these are those people who want that, but they want, you know, no regulation. They don't want safety standards because they think it kind of slows them down. And it's so interesting. I've read about quite a bit about it, and so I think I might do a deep dive next week, but we'll see how I'm feeling. Anyways, so it's a libertarian subsect, so, you know, that's a bit more right wing, and so I imagine, yeah, Trump kind of leans more I mean, he just doesn't like regulation, so that's kind of what it's going to be about. All right, social media shifts right. For years, Republicans in Washington have been arguing that America's leading social media companies are biased against them. Much of this was a brazen, bad faith attempt to work the refs, to make Silicon Valley companies so fearful of blowback that they would bend their rules for conservatives, rather than a genuine interest in neutrality on social media. The tell is that those same Republicans haven't made a peep about Mr. Musk's pro-Trump electioneering on X. And I mean, this is just how it goes. Like, you know, it's when it's in their favor, they don't say anything. But like, I mean, that's just a pattern, like, in general, you know. But it is annoying, because it's like, yeah, finally, you know, you have the thing, you know. But it's not like they have Gab, they have Truth Social, they have Rumble, you know, they have all these other like conservative ones. It's just that those are already only conservative, and so it doesn't really matter. It's that, you know, when one that maybe is more fair, you know, isn't leaning their way, then that's, you know, when they speak up. Anyways, obviously X will be friendly turf in a second Trump administration, and some alternative social networks like Threads and Blue Sky may see an uptick in left-leaning users who blame X and Mr. Musk for helping Trump get elected. But I'd expect more big social media companies to go the same way as X, shifting their policies and practices to the right preemptively to avoid fights with the new administration, which is crazy. You know, this is the other theme too. You know, it's like they're doing things because they're scared that Trump is going to come after them. Like, that's not good. They may not go as far as Mr. Musk in reinstating neo-Nazis and conspiracy theorists and classifying cisgender as a slur, But social media chief executives aren't eager to revive their first-term battles with Mr. Trump over content moderation and political bias. And some of them, like Mr. Zuckerberg, now seem to regret their previous stances. Yeah, allegedly. Yeah. Of course, yeah. But I mean, that's a bigger theme though, just without social media, kind of people afraid of Trump coming down on them. Silicon Valley goes purple. There are plenty of ways a second Trump presidency could turn out badly for Silicon Valley, and tech workers may sour on him if his campaign pledges, such as an immigration crackdown that would affect their hiring plans, tariffs that would make their products more expensive, or anti-abortion policies that would threaten the health of female employees, wind up being too disruptive. Yeah, no, exactly. If you're scared of the president, that's a little weird. But yeah, and I think the abortion talk in like for corporations is actually more like they have some more responsibility than they think, because they, you know, pay for the healthcare of a lot of their employees. You know, like if something comes up and, you know, abortion related things come up, the company will have to, you know, foot those costs. And especially, you know, like for well-beings, like that's going to be a selling point, you know, especially in other places that may not have good abortion laws. A company could attract employees, and it doesn't necessarily have to be female employees. It could be, you know, dudes who have stay-at-home wives, or wives who don't have jobs as good or with as good healthcare as them. You know, that would be a good attraction for a company to recruit, you know, employees. Is like, you know, we could, you know, give you abortion protection, or we could at least help you and stand up for you a bit. Like that's a big thing. I think there's already corporations that were saying that they would help employees, you know, get them if they needed to. And I mean, this is kind of fucked up, but like, let's think about it, you know. It's fucked up, but it's true, you know. Like if you know you have an abortion or something, you're taking away from the work, you know, like the corporation, like, you know, it's time you're not working. You know, fortunately in California we have, you know, some protections over that, but it's, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird that it's so weird that like this is like becoming the normal thing, but yeah, it's like, anyways. But in the near term, the clear sign of Trump growing acceptance among tech elites will be if supporting him stops being a social taboo. Harry Stebbings, a venture capitalist who hosts a podcast that is popular with Silicon Valley's investor class, recently claimed 90% of his guests, quote, refused to discuss politics and the election of the show, then proceeded to declare their support for Trump the minute the recording is over. Now that Mr. Trump has been elected, many of those elites may feel emboldened to speak their minds. If they do, it could shift the vibe of the whole industry, making Silicon Valley start to feel more like a swing state. Mind you, I'm predicting a full political realignment. I'm not predicting a full political realignment. Most tech workers will still vote Democrat and support progressive causes. This is California, after all. But in the workspaces of Silicon Valley and on the podcasts and YouTube channels where the sector's mythology is spun, it is likely to be a far different picture from that it was in 2016, when Trump supporters, if they existed, mostly kept to themselves. Yeah, so this is you know, Trump's stand on tech is a bit washy, but the key theme is deregulation. And we'll continue that here with AI. But the thing is, deregulation doesn't always mean like a good, you know, it's not, I don't think it's like always a good thing, especially with AI. Yes, sure, I have a soft spot for technological innovation, but having safety measures that only marginally slow down our progress is a risk that I would happily take to ensure the safety of, you know, the AI or the people who will be making it, or the citizens, though we don't have a Skynet situation. But yeah. was yesterday, what Trump's victory could mean for AI regulation. A grueling election cycle has come to a close. Donald Trump will be the 47th president of the United States, and with Republicans in control of the Senate and possibly the House. His allies are poised to bring a sea of change to the highest levels of government. The effects will be acutely felt in the AI industry, which has largely rallied against federal policymaking. Trump has repeatedly said he plans to dismantle Biden's AI framework on day one and has aligned himself with kingmakers who've sharply criticized all but the lightest touch regulations. Now, we kind of covered this yesterday, actually, I think. Yeah, with several AI companies are kind of opening up now to be used for defense. And also, I was going to cover this later, but it's relevant now. Anthropic Claude is now partnering up with Palantir, which Peter Thiel's company he started. Palantir is like a data broker for the defense and law enforcement. Anthropic, Amazon is a large investor in Anthropic to sell AI to defense customers. So it's definitely becoming a trend, and now they all see it as a dollar signs on the horizon as opportunity. So they want to get in on it before the others do. Yeah. Biden's approach. So Biden has been it says this executive order, which was right here on safe, secure, and trustworthy artificial intelligence. It's very comprehensive, but it's actually quite big. There's a lot here that's that talked about. Essentially, just ensuring that it's being used responsibly, which is good. I think light regulation to ensure that it's not gonna take over the world is great. Also, I'm pretty sure those EAC, the effective accelerationist people, I read something somewhere where someone was like, yeah, I mean, if AI kills the human race off and takes them over, then that's just the next evolution of who gets to live here on Earth. Humans don't deserve to live if we can't survive from the AI. Just like, bro, that's crazy. It's like Darwinism. Yeah. All right. So Biden's approach. Biden's AI policy came into force through the executive order, the AI executive order, passed in October 2023. Congressional inaction on regulation precipitated the executive order, whose precepts are voluntary, not compulsory. And also, with California's executive bill, we're kind of seeing it more on the state level. And this is kind of outside of the scope of this talk, but just another thought. California is actually, we're very fortunate to live in California. And while that, other people don't have the fortunate, have that fortune, California in the last Trump administration really stuck up for a lot of other states and people outside of California by suing the Trump administration, trying to, help and ensure that they keep things fair for everyone else, because California has, very progressive state legislature, and we could get these, regulations and innovations and, things passed and allowed to be used, or, whatever, we could get laws passed that are a bit more progressive, and we could essentially challenge the federal court with our large budget and our large, lawyers and everything with the state to kind of help stand up for other people outside of California. So, and we're very early on a lot of legislations, like our AI executive order thing, or our AI safety bill that unfortunately didn't pass. But things like that, California could help other states and like other citizens kind of get on the train of some more progressive ideas. The AIEO executive order addresses everything from advancing AI in healthcare to developing guidance designed to mitigate risks of IP theft. But two of its more consequential provisions, which have raised ire of some Republicans, pertain to AI security risks and real-world safety impacts. One provision directs companies developing powerful AI models to report to the government how they're training and securing these models, and to provide the results of tests designed to probe the model for vulnerabilities. That seems pretty reasonable, especially now that we're going to be using it for defense applications. The other provisions directs the Commerce Department's National Institute of Standards and Technologies to author guidance that helps companies identify and correct for flaws in models, including biases. Yeah, NIST has been, I mean, they do a lot of other stuff, but it's a perfect government branch to kind of take this on. The AI executive order accomplished much. In the last year, the Commerce Department established the U.S. AI Safety Institute, a body to study risk in AI systems, inclusive of systems with defense applications, because that's important. It's also released a new software to help improve the trustworthiness of AI and tested major new AI models through agreements with OpenAI and Anthropic. Critics allied with Trump argued that the executive order's reporting requirements are onerous and effectively force companies to disclose their trade secrets. Yeah, but you're giving it to the government. Like, what? I wonder if watchdog companies can solve their AI safety issues like they do with major bugs in software. Yeah, I think though, yeah, I assume it's already like that, but that's a good point. You know, I assume that there's bug bounty programs and shit and like stuff like that. And like I would hope that they are open to receiving like outside stuff like that, but I don't know. It's still up to the company. And that's exactly, you're right. That's like exactly how it is. It's like, all right, here it is. And then like after months, it's like, okay, if they're not doing anything, then I'm just going to tell everyone. So I'll force you to do it. So yeah, I don't know though what, I feel like with, yeah, you need a watchdog AI to combat the other ones. Yeah. AI watching the other AI. Bro, whoa, Nightbot, chill, bro. What the heck? Okay, you're good. It worked. Throwing a hashtag at the end gets over it. If Nightbot doesn't fix this, we're gonna release it to the public. Yeah, critics with Trump argue that the executive order's reporting requirements are onerous and effectively force companies to disclose their secrets. Yes, but you're disclosing to the government. During a House hearing in March, Representative Nancy Mace, Republican, South Carolina, said they could, quote, scare away would-be innovators and impede more ChatGPT type breakthroughs. Yeah, bro. What does that even mean? ChatGPT type breakthroughs, like. Because the requirements would lean on an interpretation of the Defense Production Act, a 1950s era law to support national defense, they could also be labeled by some Republicans in Congress as an example of executive overreach. As a yeah, stop breakthroughs and making realistic online waifus. Yeah, bro, I don't know. At a Senate hearing in July, Trump's running mate J.D. Vance expressed concerns that, quote, preemptive overregulation attempts would entrench the tech incumbents that we already have. Vance has also been supportive of antitrust, including efforts by FTC Chair Lina Khan, who's spearheading investigations of big tech companies, acqui-hires of AI startups. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, because Vance actually wants to increase the child tax credit to even higher than it was. Actually, I was reading about this, which is interesting. Yeah, like this is actually crazy because this is, especially that he supports Lena Khan, because Trump hates her. To Waterford. Oh, interesting. That's interesting. That's, yeah. I don't know. Vance is a wild card in my opinion. I think like it is. he's definitely a wild card too, because he has some weird views like this that are completely contradictory to Trump. I need to I need to finish Handmaid's Tale. I have like 2 seasons left, but I need to watch it. You know, it's like that weird limbo where it's like, I don't remember every detail, but if I were to start where I was, I wouldn't know enough to understand. Like, it drops off. Dang. It was so good. I mean, it still is good, but yeah. All right. Anyways, several Republicans have equated NIST's work on AI with censorship of conservative speech. They accused the Biden administration of attempting to steer AI development with liberal notations about disinformation and bias. Senator Ted Cruz recently slammed NIST's quote, woke AI safety standards as a plan to control speech based off of amorphous social harms. Like, bro, what the fuck? Oh, I don't care, man. I happily tangent. I'm tangent king. Plan to control speech based on amorphous social harms. Like, when I'm reelected, Trump said at a rally in Cedar Rapids, Iowa last December, Cedar Rapids, here we come. I will cancel Biden's artificial intelligence executive order and ban the use of AI to censor speech of American citizens on day one. Okay, bro. On day one. I'm curious actually what he's going to do on day one and even his first 100 days. So what could replace Biden's AI executive order? Little can be gleaned from the AI executive orders Trump signed during his last presidential term, which found National AI Research Institute and directed federal agencies to prioritize AI R&D. His executive orders mandated that agencies protect civil liberties, privacy, and American values. In applying AI, help workers gain AI-relevant skills and promote the use of trustworthy technologies. And I think this AI-relevant skills is important because realistically, the AI, like, you know, in the far future, when we have, you know, some superhuman AI, you know, people are going to be out of jobs. There's going to be a lot of AI-related jobs that will be that AI will take over. And so we need to retrain those people in other skills unless we get some sort of UBI, universal basic income, to kind of make up for them losing jobs or not even having jobs. And so I think retraining, especially towards like AI relevant skills, is like the way to go. And I mean, realistically, this helps progress AI too, because they'll then be, you know, working towards, you know, making the AI better, and like that kind of supports like what, I don't know, the accelerationists want or whatever. During his campaign, Trump promised policies that would support AI development rooted in free speech and human flourishing, but declined to go into detail, of course, because he has zero detail on anything, because he just doesn't know what he's talking about. Some Republicans have said that they want NIST to focus on AI's physical safety risks, including the ability to help adversaries build bioweapons, which Biden's executive order also addressed, but they've also shied away from endorsing new restrictions on AI, which could jeopardize portions of NIST's guidance. And also, it's interesting because, like, you know, libertarians have, like, you know, I mean, I'm wearing my Pirate Bay hat right now, but I share some of their views on, like, privacy and such that libertarians have, especially online. And, you know, the Trump administration actually contradicts a lot of that because they want more spying on its citizens. He essentially just wants to do whatever he wants. And I don't know, it seems a bit contradictory for the libertarian view, especially if you do value online privacy. So I don't know, that's interesting. And AI privacy is going to become a thing because, I don't know, like if I ask ChatGPT to, like, get information on someone, like maybe because OpenAI collected data without, asking permission from the individual people, and then you could go into ChatGPT and be like, hey, what's, so and so's whatever, and like you could figure out information because they just have it stored in there, but you didn't actually give them, like that's weird. And I feel like that's gonna kind of be what AI is gonna like progress towards, because they're gonna need to gobble up every piece of data they could find to improve and keep training it. So I don't know. Indeed, the fate of AISI, which is housed within NIST, is murky. While it has a budget director and partnerships with AI research institutes worldwide, the ASI could be wound down with a simple repeal of Biden's executive order. Libertarians will read harder than any snowflake leftist once they see how much AI is going to fuck with their life. I mean, that's what I think too, but like the effective accelerationist is like a subsect of libertarians, but I guess more traditional ones, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that like it's they don't especially a government controlled AI, like bro, they would do anything. It's like this old like story, I guess. It's fictional, but it's like the old IT people with technology, it's like all I have is like all I have is a fax machine that I'm able to send stuff with and get mild internet, and then I have a loaded gun next to it just in case it does something I don't want, it's like okay. Peasants yearn for indentured servitude. Yeah, cyber surf, bro. I'm gonna be a cyber surf in Jeff Bezos' Amazon's techno state, network state. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, the fax gun, yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's funny. In an open letter in October, a coalition of companies, nonprofits, and universities called on Congress to enact legislation codifying the AISI before the end of the year. In other words, before Trump is president. Which that's also going to be a theme. I'm sure they're going to rush a bunch of shit before Trump's president. This being the case, Sarah Krebs, a political scientist who focuses on U.S. defense policy, doesn't expect major AI regulation to emerge from the White House in the next 4 years. I don't know that Trump's views on AI regulation will rise to the level of antipathy that causes him to repeal the Biden AI executive order. Yeah, that's interesting. And that's a bold stance, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Trump lies. You know that. Yeah, and we'll just read this first part here, and then we'll move on to we'll check out a different article in the same vein of this. So Dean Ball, a research fellow at George Mason University, agrees that Trump's victory likely augurs a light touch regulatory regime, which that's the theme of this entire thing. One that'll rely on the application of existing law rather than creation of new laws. However, Ball predicts that this may embolden state governments, particularly Democratic strongholds like California, to try and fill the void. And that's what I was saying earlier, where, California, we're progressive on some things like this, especially tech things, and we want to ensure that at least our citizens are safe. And if we could, push other states or the federal government to do the same, then, we'll try and do that too. State-led efforts are well underway. In March, Tennessee passed a law protecting voice artists from AI cloning. Tennessee, being kind of like are they calling themselves the music capital? Nashville? Like, at least the country music capital. This summer, Colorado adopted a tiered risk-based approach to AI deployments. That's interesting. Might look into that. And in September, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed dozens of AI-related safety bills, a few of which require companies to publish details about their AI training. And the AI training has been a big contention, because Llama, the big open source one, people are arguing that you can't call it open source if you don't actually share what you trained your AI on, because who knows if they trained it on, killing humans or whatever, and then they release it to the public, or an adversary slip something in, and then before you know it, the open source AI was trained on data that makes it favorable or unfavorable towards a race, a group of people, whatever. And so publishing what you trained your AI on allows us to get a better idea of kind of what is actually going on in a bit of a black box for the model. Which is why the government wants them to kind of share information and pass certain tests because of that exact reason. Yeah, state policymakers have introduced close to 700 pieces of AI legislation this year alone. How the federal government will respond to these challenges is unclear. Yeah, and then Trump hates China. Actually, I don't even know if he hates China. I feel like he says he does, but like, I don't know. Yeah, he hates China. If you're putting a 60% tariff on shit, like, you hate China. Including controls of technology necessary to develop AI. Yeah. And we've already, so the Biden administration have already has in place a number of bans on the export of AI chips and safety in models. However, some Chinese firms are reportedly using loopholes to access tools through cloud services. And we've already talked about yesterday how early version of Llama, Meta's open source quote AI model, was being used for defense applications in China. So I mean that's a thing. That's a legit thing. And who's stopping them from not following the terms and conditions or rules that are set in place? They could just do whatever they want. And in that same vein, AI workers want whistleblowers to expose emerging threats because think about the SEC, the military, things like that. There are great whistleblower programs to blow the whistle when they see something that shouldn't be happening or they don't think is right. With the SEC, if there's something shady going on, you could report it to the SEC and they'll look into what's going on. And same with the military. There's plenty of whistleblower programs to support and give protection to those people who come out when they see something that shouldn't be happening. Current whistleblower laws apply only to certain kinds of violations. Congress could consider AI legislation as soon as lame duck session. I think this is like before the end of before the transition to the new president. Workers at artificial intelligence companies want Congress to grant them specific whistleblower protections, arguing that advancements in the technology pose threats that they can't legally expose under current law. What people should be thinking about is the 100 ways in which these companies can lose control of these technologies, said Lawrence Lessig, a Harvard law professor who represented OpenAI employees and former employees raising issues about the company. Current dangers range from deepfake videos to algorithms that discriminate, and technology is quickly becoming more sophisticated. Lessig called the argument that big tech companies and AI startups can police themselves naive. Yeah, and it is naive because there's just no incentive for them to care. Like, there's a little bit, but like, it's rooted in the fact that they're afraid of public opinion. Because I mean, yeah, like, I don't know. If there's a risk, which there is, they're not going to take care of it. He said, we need regulation. Congress may have a window to address the issue in the coming months. Leaders could push an AI package in the post-election lame duck session that would boost research and development and promote guidelines for technology use. As Congress considers AI legislation this year, we must ensure that consumer regulators and workers have the tools and safeguards to identify and address these harms. Said Senator Ed Markey, Democrat from Massachusetts, said on November 1st when asked if he would seek whistleblower elements in any later AI bill. In September, Markey introduced AI civil rights bill that includes whistleblowers and anti-retaliation protections. Existing federal whistleblower protections come from specific statutes, including those related to tax evasion, money laundering, foreign bribery, and Medicare and Medicaid fraud. Yeah. But this is like a SEC, we got the I'm blanking on the tax Uh, IRS, Jesus. We don't have a general law that regulates tech at all, and to the extent there are whistleblower protections that exist, they exist in the context of these other regulations, said Hannah Bloke Weba, a law professor at Texas A&M. Yeah, so there needs to, you know, while Trump wants to deregulate things, it's just a little spooky thought thinking that things may spiral out of control. And Elon Musk himself, Trump's biggest, you know, supporter, is afraid of the same thing too. So it's, yeah, it's interesting. So we'll see if he even does anything on AI. I feel like he's going to, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he just repeals Biden's executive order and just lets it go, like lets it go free. Not doing anything, which is actually doing something, but not in the right direction. So yeah. All right. And yeah, actually there's been a lot of I mean, yeah, Biden Harris administration wanted this like AI Bill of Rights too. And we covered the Secretary of State Department's kind of rules for using it in defense, and also for our like the foreign countries that we're allies with. So I'm curious what like will happen to these things, but we'll see. Was Biden addressing the nation? Whoa, what's he talking about? Oh, this isn't even live, bro. I'm like, this was earlier. Oh, okay, just about Trump being president. These were a nice pinstripe.
Transfer of power here in America. To all our incredible staff, supporters, cabinet members, don't forget all that we accomplished. It's been a historic presidency. Not because I'm president, because what we've done, what you've done. A presidency for all Americans. Much of the work we've done is already being felt by the American people. The vast majority of it will not be felt. We felt over the next 10 years. We have legislation we passed. It's just only now just really kicking in.
Yeah, CHIPS Act, Infrastructure Act, yeah.
Changing people's lives in rural communities and communities that are in real difficulty. Because it takes time to get it done. And so much more. It's going to take time. But it's there. The road ahead is clear, assuming we sustain it. There's so much we can get done. And we'll get done based on the way the legislation was passed. And it's truly historic. You know, we're leaving behind the strongest economy in the world. I know people are still hurting, but things are changing rapidly. Together, we've changed America for the better. Now we have 74 days to finish the term, our term. Let's make every day count. That's the responsibility we have to the American people. Look, folks, you all know it in your lives. Setbacks are unavoidable, but giving up is unforgivable. Setbacks are unavoidable, but giving up is unforgivable. We all get knocked down. But the measure of our character, as my dad would say, is how quickly we get back up. Remember, a defeat does not mean we are defeated. We lost this battle. The America of your dreams is calling for you to get back up. That's the story of America for over 240 years and counting. It's the story for all of us, not just some of us. The American experiment endures. We're going to be okay, but we need to stay engaged. We need to keep going. And above all, we need to keep the faith. I'm so proud to work with all of you. I really mean it. I sincerely mean it. God bless you all. God bless America. And may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Biden. But he's right. You know, we have a lot of huge infrastructure bills like the CHIPS Act and the infrastructure and something else bill. And I mean, the CHIPS Act money hasn't even been distributed yet, which actually is a bit in contention. But we have a lot of things coming over that won't really see it to full fruition for kind of quite a few years, especially the chips, building a bunch of chip foundries here in the United States. Like, we got time for that, but cool. Thanks, Biden. But yeah, so I mean, Biden and Harris have already done a lot of legislation stuff for AI. So curious to see what Trump will do, what he'll actually do, if anything at all. Now let's take a look at space. This one is going to be kind of quick because you know, I obviously Elon Musk is friendly with Trump, and I feel like that's a large part of it is he wants less regulation around space. He wants to be able to launch his rockets without doing environmental impact shit, you know, like Boca Chica in Texas. Like there's, you know, essentially environmental disaster because of all this rocket stuff that he's been doing over there. California recently denied Elon Musk launch permission, although arguably it was a bit partisan because they kind of, it was not really for the reason that it should have been. So I mean, he just wants to be able to launch rockets whenever he wants, you know, that accelerationist mindset. He wants to just, you know, get us to Mars as soon as possible, whatever. So I mean, there's that incentive there. But NASA does a lot more than just space stuff. We do so much earth sciences, and under Trump's last term, he canceled or at least he tried to cancel a lot of our climate change stuff that's related to earth sciences. He actually did propose to nix it, and then the House actually reintroduced it, and I think they got it passed, even though he wanted to not get it, and they actually had to pull funds from somewhere else. So I'm curious to see, you know, come budget time next year, the year after, what Trump will do for NASA. Now, he actually did increase the budget last time around by a few billion, but again, he took away money from other important things. So, you know, it kind of depends on, I guess, what you want. So, space policy in a second Trump term. Now, this is July 16th, but they updated it. So, November 6th, yesterday. And I also have one more article we'll go over that that is actually covering the what I just talked about. Dang, this is free. So, former President Donald Trump's second term in the White House is likely to be marked by Former Donald Trump's second term in the White House is likely to be marked by prioritizing on lunar exploration, boosting national security, space capabilities, and partnering with commercial companies. Yeah, and I think, yeah, we'll get into it. Trump's accomplishments. The Trump White House left a lasting mark on the space community between 2017 and 2021, including establishing the Artemis program and codifying America's plan to return humans to the moon as a stepping stone to Mars. But the problem with the Artemis program is that they gave the contract to Boeing, and Boeing being a part of the military-industrial complex. I bring it up every stream at this point. Now it's a goal to bring up the military-industrial complex every stream. It's so bogged down, it's slow, it's intertwined in politics. You know, it's kind of just doing what the military-industrial complex does because they just want to stretch it out with these contracts that don't have caps. You know, they want it to be an open term-ended contract so they could stretch it out as long as they want to essentially get more government from the money versus a fixed price contract, which they get this much money and then you got to figure out how to make a profit from that. They don't want that. And so Artemis is literally, it's Smarter Every Day. Yeah, stream bingo. Smarter Every Day has a great video where he gave a talk to a lot of high up space people, and essentially was like, you know, asking how many rockets it's going to take to get to the moon, and they didn't know the answer because it's going to be like 12 Artemis rockets to actually get humans to the moon, because we have to launch, then we have to you know, launch another one to refuel it, then we have to launch another satellite, then we have to, you know, launch this, and it's going to take so many different rockets to actually get us and even more to Mars. So I mean, the Artemis program is just the typical military-industrial complex like project, in especially, you know, in space, like that's, it's, you know, we got to move a bit quicker, and especially now that China is essentially creating their own Starship clone. They just announced recently, like I don't know, if Trump wants to beat China, you know, we gotta depoliticize things like this. Yeah, reinstating the National Space Council and allowing high-profile panel to enact changes through 7 space policy directives. Championing the Space Force, which was officially formed by bill passed by Congress. I mean, yeah, but the Space Force is just the Air Force. It's essentially the Marines in the Navy. It's like, whatever. An important note, the Biden administration did not make any substantive changes to Trump's space policy and kept each of the 3 signature achievements. The fine print. At the convention in July, the Republican Party formally adopted its platform for 2024, which includes a short space portion. Under Republican leadership, the United States will create a robust manufacturing industry in near-Earth orbit and send American astronauts back to the moon and onward to Mars, and enhance partnerships with the rapidly expanding commercial space sector to revolutionize our ability to access, live in, and develop assets in space. Now, this is good because realistically, NASA is not moving fast enough, and we have people like Blue Origin, SpaceX. We have what's that other company? Ah, dang it. Axiom Space. We have Sierra Space. Axiom Space is going to be launching a commercial module to the International Space Station, hooking it up to that. Then they're actually going to launch several other modules to hook up to it, and then they're going to detach from the International Space Station in 2030 when it's supposed to be retired, and then they're going to essentially become the next lab, the science lab for the International Space Station, but it's going to be commercially ran. Sierra Space and Blue Origin have a partnership to create they're calling it an orbital reef, and it's essentially going to be a business park, but as an International Space Station. Both of those companies have received funding from NASA to at least do some research. And Blue Origin, mind you, is Jeff Bezos's company. Sierra Space has been around for a long time, but yeah. And yeah, this is their orbital reef that they're gonna build. Your address in orbit. But I mean, of course, AWS. But I mean, this is just rich people shit. I don't know. Honestly, this is what it is. I don't know. It's gonna be a long time before we're actually mass manufacturing things in space. So I don't know. Let's see this though. Yeah, this is Sierra Space, a mixed-use business park in space, which is cool. I mean, this is sci-fi shit, but yeah, I mean, just kind of out of reach for most normal people. Now, Sierra Space is also making Dreamcatcher, which is kind of a space shuttle, space plane replacement. And this is cool. And they've been working on this for a very long time. So I don't know. I'd love to see this actually come to fruition. Yeah, here it is. Cool. Anyways, this is what they're talking about when they want expanding commercial space sector and the near Earth orbit manufacturing industry. Yeah, I just don't know how realistic this is within the next even 4 years. Even sending astronauts back to the moon, I don't think it's going to happen in 4 years. I just don't think it's going to happen. So what's next? It's unlikely there will be major changes in a potential Trump second term, according to Greg Autry, a professor at ASU who worked on the NASA agency review team when Trump was preparing to take office in 2016, and also served as a White House liaison at NASA. And we actually saw ASU was working with Blue Origin with that orbital reef there too. So frankly, they got it right. I don't see a need for a major reboot, Autry told Payload. It's clear that things are dynamically different 8 years later, with the basic direction of using the moon to get to Mars, civil, commercial, and military space working in concert, and coordinating through the Space Council are all still there. The Trump administration's top priorities, according to Autry, is likely to be kicking Artemis into high gear and ensure Artemis 3, the first crewed mission to the lunar surface since Apollo, remains on track to avoid getting beaten by China. Yeah, but let's look at Artemis 3's launch. On the campaign trail, Trump has also been vocal about his desire to establish a space National Guard despite opposition from governors. Yeah, bro, because National Guard is the state has to then do that, and I'm sure governors another thing, more money you have to spend or something. Yeah, Artemis 3, bro. Launch. SLS and Orion take off from Kennedy Space Center. Jettison rocket boosters, fairings, and launch motor. Core stage main engine cutoff. Enter Earth orbit. Yes, and then it's going to require several outbound trajectory burns. Like, mind you, we've done one flight. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is... when is it planned? Look at this. Okay, in December 2023, the Government Accountability Office reported that the mission is not likely to occur before 2027. As of January 2024, the NASA officially expects Artemis 3 to launch no earlier than September 2026 due to issues with the valves in Orion's life support systems. Air systems operated by the state. Anti-air... Dude, the California military would slap. Yeah, and also it's Artemis is dependent on Starship too. The country of California, yeah. I had a thought that, like, what if things become so bad that California secedes? Like, you know, Texas wants to, but California's like that would be a legit threat to the United States because we bring in so much money, and whether that be food, tech, you know, all kinds of stuff. Like, if we leave, I don't know. We'd have to figure out oil because we don't have oil in California. And you sure as hell bet Trump would slap tariffs like crazy on California. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it would be difficult, but yeah. I think though the hit in the income, like the tax from the federal government would be significant though. Because we essentially pay for a lot of smaller, arguably red states. Yeah, we are well suited geographically, being on the coast. Like, we have the ports. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's research done with that, but yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, you're right. You're right with Mexico. And I feel like we would because, like, I don't know. Like, California already has pretty, like, reasonable relations with Mexico. Yeah, so yeah, in August 2023, due to delays in development of Starship, NASA officials expressed an openness to flying Artemis 3 without a crewed landing. In this case, the mission may become a crewed visit to the Lunar Gateway. In April 2024, it was reported that alternative mission options being internally evaluated by NASA include a test of docking between Orion and Starship HLS in low Earth orbit. Yeah. Maybe I think actually I love space, and like that's one of my I'm really interested, and I know a lot. I'd love to actually do a deep dive in Artemis and like our actual moon mission, because I don't actually know a lot about the moon mission. So yeah, I might do a deep dive on that here in the coming weeks too. That'd be cool. But yeah, this is essentially like the space launch. Yeah, the space launch system is just like, I don't know, it's so bogged down in bureaucracy, it's crazy. But I blame the military industrial complex. But I mean, this is the evolution of the shuttle. That's what it's supposed to be. See, this is what we're saying though, where this is how many launches need to happen for us to get to the moon. Like, okay, 2 for propellant fill, then we need, you know, this one, you know, it's like we just like, we need so much just for the propellant, just for the gas. Like this is all just for like Delta V, you know, for our fuel. And then we actually have the crew. Like this isn't happening in 3 years, 2027. Sorry, but doubt. Which also, there's an upcoming SpaceX Starship test, and if it's happening during stream, we'll watch it live. Or at least around the time. But anyways. Yeah, Space National Guard. Project 2025. The Heritage Foundation drafted a separate potential playbook for the Trump administration, dubbed Project 2025. The incoming president claimed that he, quote, had nothing to do with this policy outline, casting doubt on how much its contents would influence a potential second term. But it does make several space recommendations, including elevating the Office of Space Commerce. Interesting. Boosting the Space Force's offensive capabilities, which is so dumb. Reducing overclassification to better partner with commercial actors. Increasing cooperation with allies on space intelligence. This is fair. Like, I don't know why we don't already have this, to be honest. People matter. The people who serve on Trump's team and their level of enthusiasm for space would also play a big role in how much attention it gets during a possible second term. The vice president is in an especially important position since the VP is traditionally the leader of the National Space Council, and that's important. And this is why it's important. Former Vice President Mike Pence, who was not on Trump's ticket, was a self-proclaimed space fan who enthusiastically led National Space Council meetings, traveled to milestone launches, and traveled to Colorado to speak at the Space Symposium in 2018. Trump's President Senator J.D. Vance, who served on the Senate Space Subcommittee, has made few public comments about space. However, Autry stressed not to count anyone out. I don't think anybody expected Pence to be a strong advocate for space that he was, said Autry. He didn't just show up and attend meetings, he dug in and understood the details. And I think that's important because, especially if the vice president is leading the Space Council, if you want to motivate people, you want to show that or put attention on something, you know, being involved in showing up to space things is a great way to do that. And at least Pence, you know, one good, you know, maybe two good things he's done was at least put some attention on space and, like, you know, give some motivation to workers in NASA, which is cool. More reading. Autry recommended 2 books for those looking to dive deeper into the world of Trump's administration's space priorities, though neither is endorsed as official policy. And it's so funny. Red Moon Rising: How America Will Beat China in the Final Frontier. Oh, of course, it was written by him. Which is, it kind of seems similar to that AI one that you recommended, Austin. And then the New MAGA Deal, the unofficial deplorable guide to Donald Trump's 2024 policy. Also written by this same guy right here. And a space chapter by this guy too. Of course he recommends these 2 books. It's like a professor. He's a professor, right? Of course, it's in their blood to recommend their own books that they wrote that are 500 pages long and cost $600. Yeah, I think he was at ASU or something. Anyways. So, yeah, there might be some optimistic future for space, but, you know, it definitely comes at a cost. The NASA climate science program Trump axed, House lawmakers just moved to restore it. This is in 2018. U.S. House of Representatives spending panel voted today to restore a small NASA climate research program that President Donald Trump's mission had quietly axed. House Appropriations Panel that oversees NASA's unanimously approved an amendment in 2019 spending bill that orders the space agency to set aside $10 million within its Earth science budget for a climate monitoring system that studies biochemical processes to better understand the major factors of driving short and long-term climate change. And $10 million might seem like a lot, but he cut the Earth space, it's Earth science even more, and so this is just like at least something to keep it going. Assuming the money is intended to restore the carbon monitoring system. Research familiar with the program were hailing the vote. That's great news. Earth scientist Pontus Olafsson of Boston University wrote an email. We need a research program that investigates the use of all the data and tools we now have at our disposal for the how to study, understand the mitigate carbon emissions. NASA CMS is such a research program, and it's essential that the program will be allowed to continue their work. Effective climate policies require the ability to accurately and independently measure greenhouse gas emissions. Philip Duffy, president of the executive director of Woods Hole Research Center in Massachusetts, wrote an email. I applaud today's bipartisan action. Yeah, there's a part of the larger spending bill. But it's like, even this Republican was like, the climate program is important as part of the agency's efforts to track all sorts of greenhouse gas emissions. Thanks to Representative Matt Cartwright, Democrat from Pennsylvania, for urging him to restore funding to the monitoring system. So, yeah. So, maybe a more optimistic future on space. Although, again, with the theme being deregulation, you know, I'm sure there's long-term consequences and definitely short-term environmental consequences. So yeah, this will be an interesting one to watch too. Okay, let's look at crypto, because this one's pretty straightforward, and then we'll look at nuclear power, and that's what all we got planned today. We'll look at AP News here first. Very good source. This was just yesterday, but you know, we looked at price of Bitcoin before this. You know, it's gone up. It's gone up a little bit more since we last looked. Wonder what the Ethereum. Whoa, Ethereum's up even more. Holy shit. Yeah, Ethereum's up too. People use Litecoin still. Not as up as much. Actually, I like Litecoin better, because their network, I feel like, is a bit more useful. Anyways, Trump's win ignites a crypto frenzy that sends Bitcoin to a record high. The price of Bitcoin hit a new high Wednesday, and crypto-related shares rallied as investors bet the former President Trump's victory in the U.S. presidential election will be a boon for cryptocurrencies, and that it has so far. Bitcoin jumped nearly 8% in early trading, climbing above $75,000 and smashing its previous record set in March. Other cryptocurrencies soared, including Ether, the world's second most... Is it referred to as Ether now? The second most popular cryptocurrency after Bitcoin, which rallied 8%. Another token, Dogecoin, rocketed as much as 18%. It's the favorite cryptocurrency of billionaire Elon Musk, one of Trump's most prominent supporters. My stepdad, he put too much money into Dogecoin, not knowing what it was, and it tanked. So I'm don't give him a little nudge about that. Crypto-related shares outran the rest of the stock market. Coinbase, one of the biggest cryptocurrency exchanges, leaped 17%. Coinbase, who will be happy to hear that Trump's president, since they're a big supporter of the crypto pack, and also suing the SEC, i.e. Gary Gensler, who Trump was going to axe about the regulatory environment. Online brokerage Robinhood Markets, which offers crypto trading, soared 12%, and MicroStrategy, which said it's the largest corporate holder of Bitcoin, jumped 10%. Trump was previously a crypto skeptic, but changed his mind and embraced cryptocurrencies ahead of the election. Trump also has this WorldCoin, which it's essentially a scam. Oh no, this isn't WorldCoin. It's WorldCoin's the Sam Altman one. CoffeeZilla made a video about this one. Yeah, this is it. Trump's coin sale misses early targets as crypto project website crashes. Yeah, but the problem is, with this coin, I wish they linked to it. Oh, World Liberty Financial, that's what it was. This is Trump's coin, but if you actually like read in, you can't actually transfer the coin out of the wallet. So you buy the coin and you can't do anything with it. So like, whoops, like what? Like what's even the point? Actually, the typical scam. They didn't even sell anything close, bro. It's worth a penny. Barter? Yeah, it's like you have to just transfer it to the other person's wallet, but like it's essentially it's worthless. Bro, who's buying? Is this even real? They transferred money out of their Robinhood account to buy this. It seems like $30. Anyways, he has pledged to make America the crypto capital of the planet and created strategic reserve of Bitcoin. His campaign accepted donations in cryptocurrency, and he courted crypto fans at a Bitcoin conference in July. He also launched World Liberty Financial, a new venture with family members to trade cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin's up 77% this year. Bitcoin is one asset that was always going to soar if Trump returned to the White House, said Russ Mould, investment director at AG Bell, a British online investment platform. After touching its new high, the market is now speculating about when not if it will smash through $100,000, he said. Actually, I really hope that okay, anyways. Trump has already declared his love of the digital currency, and crypto traders now have a new narrative by which to get even more excited about where the price could go, Mould said. I mean, I just don't understand how you could, there's any way to predict or understand why Bitcoin moves up or down besides events like this. You know, I just still think it's in the same category as gambling. As much as there might actually be a use for the blockchain part, the investment part makes zero sense to me still. Like, I literally, the money I would put in to buying it, I consider as gambling. It's like the same category of spend money for me. But other experts warned of the risks. Now, the blockchain use is real, but like no one's actually found a mainstream like use that it's like the mom test, you know, unless my mom knows or is using a product that uses blockchain, then like it's just never gonna get full adoption. No, yeah, exactly, because no one's using it. I mean, yeah, there's like people who say they are, but like it's still not it's not solving a problem yet, you know. And in the future, I think yes, but like it's gonna take time to get there, and like realistically there's other hurdles that they need to get by first, like being able to have the normal person understand how it works. But other experts warned of risks. Investors should only dabble in crypto with money that they can be prepared to lose. Exactly. And Susanna Streeter, head of money and markets at Hargreaves Lansdowne. Because we've seen these wild swings in the past, crypto industry players welcome Trump's victory in hopes that he would be able to push through legislative and regulatory changes that they lobbied for. Trump had already promised that if elected, he would remove chair of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Gary Gensler, who has been leading the U.S. government's crackdown on the crypto industry. And, you know, you have to remember that the biggest crypto supporters are the, you know, libertarians, who is, you know, right-wing subsect. So it's like they just, you know, I don't know. They want to, Trump needed to, you know, support that to be able to get them to vote. But yeah. Tonight, the crypto voters has spoken decisively across party lines and in key races across the country, said Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong. Americans disproportionately care about crypto and want clear rules of the roads for digital assets. We look forward to working with the new Congress to deliver it, Armstrong posted on X. Streeter said Trump's administration would like to pursue, quote, light touch regulation for the crypto industry. Again, that's kind of the theme of all of this. Certainly, that's what crypto fans would want, he said. They want the sheen of legitimacy to be brought to crypto, but they don't want regulations to be onerous to stop opportunities and innovation. I mean, like, if you think about crypto as like gambling and essentially almost a grift, like, obviously they don't want regulations because that would force them to like actually understand what is happening on the underneaths of why things are moving around. It'll remove some of the anonymity, which arguably is the benefit of crypto, even though there is that, you know, the ledger that kind of actually leaves the trail. But, you know, it's like they, like, especially for those pump and dump things, like those who are very into crypto, I'm sure participate in, like, they don't want that regulation to go away because that's how they scam people. You know, they don't want the regulation because that's how they scam people. You know, it's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's like it goes both ways for wanting the regulation and not. Crypto washers will be allowed under the new administration. Yeah, I don't know. That's like, I just think that it's not that they'll be allowed, it's that they won't be stopped. Like, they just won't have regulation, so they could just do it if they want. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I do think there will be actually change in the crypto. Yeah, wash all drug money. Exactly. Well, that's what Tether, I think, isn't that what Tether is essentially getting in trouble for? Well, Tether's in has several problems, but yeah. But I do wonder who he plans to put in charge of SEC. Tornado Cash. Who does let's see. Yeah, Trump has pledged to fire current SEC chair. Oh, interesting. There may be legal challenges to removing Gary Gensler before his term ends in 2026. It's expected Gensler will resign ahead of Trump's inauguration in 2025. That's crazy. I did not know that. Yeah, Trump will likely appoint his new SEC chair who aligns with his crypto and deregulatory chants. Yeah, interesting. Hester Pierce, current SEC commissioner known as, quote, crypto mom for her pro-crypto stance. However, some analysts consider her chances very low. Dan Gallagher, former SEC commissioner from 2011 to 2015, current chief legal officer at Robinhood. He has been critical of SEC's, quote, regulation by enforcement. Regulation by enforcement approach. How else? That doesn't make any sense. Anyways, let's look at, we got one more article here. This was yesterday too. We'll see if there's any new information here. Trump wins seen as a positive development for crypto as illustrated by the latest rise in Bitcoin prices. More regulatory clarity for stable coins. Yeah, this is the Tether, the USDC, the EU, or whatever that Coinbase has. Those are those stable coins. Generally could see progress in Congress as more pro-crypto lawmakers take office. Two areas to watch under Trump could be the creation of strategic Bitcoin reserve and growth in Bitcoin mining sector. I don't understand the Bitcoin mining either, because is it even worth it now for how much energy costs to even mine Bitcoin, considering that it's like, you know, it gets harder? I don't understand. I like, this seems like kind of dumb now. Like it's kind of past. And also it's marginal. Yeah. But I mean, like, you might as well just put your compute power to something like AI now. I guess that's, you know, especially if you have GPUs, like that has to be more lucrative now than mining crypto. But even renting out the GPUs. I mean, I'm sure ASICs and stuff like those are those are essentially e-waste, but yeah. The stablecoin though is interesting because I do think stablecoins, Venezuela, yeah, I do think stablecoins do need to be treated like banks, because the thinking with stablecoin is that you're essentially printing money without having, so if people want to sell, all of a sudden sell all their crypto, their stable coins, the company who monitors or maintains that won't have the cash in the bank to then release to people who want to sell it, which is the same thing with banks, where they need to keep a certain portion of their money in the bank, like cash. So if there's a fire sale or whatever and everyone wants to withdraw their money, they would at least have a significant portion of that already in the bank in cash. And that's what Tether kind of got into trouble or a little hot water for, is because I think there was a bit of a sell-off and they essentially had to create money, like print money or take money from other places that don't, like they shouldn't have, to be able to like fund that. Yeah, like what you're saying, like imagine actually having that, like that, having the reserve in the bank for like the stable coins, that would legitimize it. Yeah, I mean, I think that would. Or yeah, some sort of FDIC thing. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it would legitimize it though. At least stable coins. But stable coins are like probably one of the better things of crypto. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Grifters, you're right, because they wouldn't be able to essentially like print money. But Coinbase is doing it right because they actually give you interest. You earn interest on USDC. And so they're probably just treating it like an official bank, because USD coin interest rates. Yeah, bro, this is crazy. Whoa, wait, Nexo? I need to see the source on this one. When was this? This is 8 months ago. That's crazy. Anyways, but yeah, so they give interest, and so that's literally, so it's just like a savings account. You put money in there, like I was explaining a few weeks ago, or a few streams ago, where they make money on the spread. So then they buy bonds at 4%. They offer you a little bit higher on the USDC. They hold that, they get interest, they pay you a little bit of that, and they make money on the spread. I'm sure they're doing the same exact thing. So it's like, it's actually just a digital version of what's already exist in traditional banks. But anyways, yeah, the cryptocurrency industry expects better days ahead. Specifically, Donald Trump's return to the White House is seen as a positive development for crypto regulation and the potential development of a strategic Bitcoin stockpile, which is interesting. And I thought it was I must have not linked the article, but the U.S. already has about $5 billion in Bitcoin from various seizures and other things. And so Trump would actually want to increase our holdings of Bitcoin for whatever reason. Those prospects lifted Bitcoin today, with the leading cryptocurrency touching all time, $75,000 late Tuesday, and more recently holding just below that level. Regulatory clarity for crypto? Question mark. One of the biggest concerns for the crypto industry in recent years has been the Securities and Exchange Commission's approach to enforcement. The SEC has been criticized by crypto backers for perceived jurisdictional overstepping, bringing cases against crypto exchanges, Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, and others. During his speech at the Bitcoin 2024 conference in July, Trump promised to end the current administration's, quote, anti-crypto crusade, and to replace SEC Chair Gary Gensler on day one. At the same event, he proposed creation of a Bitcoin stockpile. The election has brought more crypto-friendly lawmakers into the Congress, making industry backers more optimistic. The result could mean rapid progress on bills related to stablecoins and clarifications on when a crypto asset is a security, analyst at Bernstein said, according to the CoinDesk. Yeah, I think something like the stable. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, exactly. I don't even remember what I just read. The result could mean rapid progress on bills related to stable coins and clarification on when a crypto. Yeah, I feel like stable coins are a security. They should be, at least. They also could presage a also presage as well. I'm not saying this right. Presage. USDC, what I was just talking about. Tether is a stable coin. It just stays at $1. I think there's one that starts with a D, like that was popular earlier. Yeah, here's Tether. Yeah, I'm not sure. They don't list it here, but there's another one like earlier that was a bit bigger. It started with a D. Kind of curious now what it is. Maybe it's not considered a stable coin. Yeah, exactly. This could also do crypto exchanges, traded funds. Yeah, crypto ETFs, which has already they already exist. So I mean that's nothing new there. What's next? Trump previously vowed to push for the development of a strategic Bitcoin stockpile if reelected. While such a stockpile may not necessarily involve the purchasing of additional Bitcoin on top of what the country already owns, it could have second-order effects in how the cryptocurrency is viewed by other world governments. Additionally, Trump spoke of further developing the Bitcoin mining industry in the US, claiming that he'd like to see every Bitcoin made in America. Like, that's just some shit. Like, he's like, yeah, they go in the back and make them though, right? Like, Bitcoin mining stocks such as Marathon Digital, Riot Platforms, Hut 8, and CleanSpark rose Wednesday. Bitcoin Bitwise CIO Matt Hugan expects Bitcoin price to arrive above $100,000 before the end of the year. Still, he said crypto investors should be discerning. Not all crypto projects are good, and not all of them will succeed. All a regulatory reset will do is place crypto on a fair and even playing field, where it can succeed or fail on its own merits. It will be incumbent on investors to separate the wheat from the chaff and to take a disciplined approach to evaluating risk. Yeah, but how? How do you evaluate risk with something that has zero, like, you know, indicators? And, you know, I think, though, the problem that they kind of don't see is that, like, no offense, like, there's just dumb people who don't understand, and they're gonna be persuaded or, you know, go into it thinking one thing and have the result be something else, essentially being scammed in a way. And that's generally, I feel like, what the government, like, does is, like, they kind of look out for the consumer, you know, especially like the FTC and everything. Like, they're looking out for the consumer, and so the regulations are kind of to protect the consumers in the way. Yeah, exactly. Smart people who don't understand it. Exactly. And so I think that's kind of the more so. It's like, you know, it's not like we want it to succeed or fail. Like, you know, like, I still want it to be determined in its own merits, whether it succeeds or fails. There should just be protections for people who just get scammed or whatever. Like, I don't know. So yeah, anyways, crypto, I think it's gonna be like not a central point, but I think there will be changes or some sort of talk about crypto with Trump once he's in office. The next one I think is, besides space, the most interesting, because I think there's more weight on it than people think, and that is nuclear power. This is from 2020. And Trump pivoting like this is just a theme, especially on nuclear power, because he's pivoted again and again. So, like, this one's weird. But this is in 2020. This is when he was president. Expanding U.S. and Trump actually did expand nuclear power, and so like, or he did like actually like progress it, so that's good. Yeah, no, it does create a ton of jobs. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but it's more so he just keeps flip-flopping and being like, oh, it's dangerous, blah blah blah, but then he's like, oh, I support it, no, I support it. So it's kind of just like, okay, bro, like make up your mind. Like, but you know, relating back to AI, like that's kind of, the big tech saw that as their savior. Yeah, whatever works in the moment. I mean, exactly. But nuclear power is kind of the savior for their power struggles for all the data centers and that they want to build for AI. So I mean, we saw actually, because I very briefly covered on a previous stream where the Nuclear Energy Commission, or you know, the Federal Nuclear Energy Commission, I can't remember what the government was, but they actually denied a partnership with Amazon because they said it would raise prices for consumers. And again, that's also the theme of the why these regulations are important, is like, we're just looking out for the consumers. If we're to have it, you know, no regulation, big tech would just, you know, corner markets, lower wages for its employees so they can make more money, and, you know, screw over the consumers by making, you know, subpar products and run shitty companies and businesses. So I mean, like, that's the trend. But nuclear energy may be on the up and up with Trump. So expanding U.S. power abroad could become the Trump administration's strongest lever against Chinese hegemony and Russian expansion in the global market. U.S. Department of Energy, which is leading the national initiative, is on an aggressive timeline, 5 to 7 years, to bring new advanced nuclear reactors for electronic power to the international market. Now, this is interesting because this is more international, but yeah. Senior Energy Department told Forbes it's a matter of national security. China and Russia's aggressive plan to expand the global nuclear energy sector pose a significant risk to the U.S. economy, energy security, foreign policy, and national security, as well as the as that of allies. Is nuclear energy classified as clean energy? That's a good question. Let me finish this and I'll look it up. The U.S. economy, energy, security, foreign policy, and national security, as well as that of allies, said Dr. Rita Barantal, Department of Energy's Assistant Secretary in its Office of Nuclear Energy. U.S. is losing its competitive global position as the world leader in nuclear energy to state-owned enterprises of Russia and China that underbid Western competitors. It is, okay. And I think now that, like, you know, people definitely have an older view of nuclear energy, and they think of the Chernobyls, the what was the other one, Fukushima? Yeah, Fukushima, the 3 Mile Island. But ironically, they got into those positions because of little to no regulation and rules around what they could do. You know, like, ironically. So, you know, with nuclear energy, we kind of need a little bit of regulation, especially when we're like using things that make deadly weapons. Long before COVID-19 and a metastasizing anti-China sentiment surrounding that, President Trump was talking about China, its celebrated Belt and Road Initiative, and the threat it poses to U.S. national security. He initiated a number of protective measures. Yeah, burning waste without oversight, exactly. But a year ago, President Trump asked his Energy Secretary, Dan Brouillette, to assemble a nuclear energy working group to find ways to expand U.S. nuclear energy industry in efforts to compete globally. This would be the fulcrum of the diplomatic lever. This May, Department of Energy released Restoring America's Competitive Nuclear Energy Advantage, a blueprint to transform a U.S. nuclear industry notorious for massive facilities, long construction timelines, cost overruns, and a sour public opinion. Despite the pandemic riots and unrest across the country, they appear to be making great progress by most measures. Has launched $230 million advanced reactor demonstration program, currently calling on the U.S. private sector to apply to demonstrate they can construct smaller, more efficient, more affordable, advanced reactors that can be commercially available within 5 to 7 years. Applications are due August 12th. She's encouraged, pleasantly surprised at the levels of interest and caliber of the applicants. Assistant Secretary, who has a doctoral in material science and engineering, said the core of the technology being developed is not new. What DOE is doing is setting an aggressive timeline to build on existing basic technology that was explored decades ago. Yeah, we're moving forward to ensure the United States regains its nuclear energy leadership, building upon its leadership in innovation, advanced technologies. Yeah, surprisingly, the issue is bipartisan, given the breadth to continue regardless of who wins the presidential election in November. Yeah, I mean, in his current energy and environment plan, former vice president, and presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden includes nuclear energy and advanced reactors as a priority to help reduce global carbon emissions. Yeah, I think that's key. And then, just on that same note, you know, Donald Trump's electricity plan is popular with Democrats. Nearly half of Democrats surveyed in one poll are in favor of expanding nuclear energy throughout America, an idea touted by former President Donald Trump. Nuclear energy's favorability has increased in recent years as more people recognize it as a clean energy source for an alternative to fossil fuels, the use of which can exacerbate climate change. Trump spoke in favor of expanding nuclear energy across America, specifically in regards to how he sees nuclear power as an avenue to increase the national energy supply needed for artificial intelligence. Exactly what the big, you know, a great use case is for that, or at least to make up the power needed for that. In a discussion with Sean Ryan, a former Navy SEAL and Central Intelligence Agency contractor, that aired on Monday. I mean, this guy's so dumb though. No offense, like. Oh no, this actually is. Oh yeah, this guy right here. I mean, this guy's, yeah. For AI, you'll need more electricity than we have right now, Trump said. You'll need double the energy that we produce right now just for one industry if we're going to be a big player. President Trump said he wants to utilize all forms of energy while comrade, bro, I was like, this isn't Newsweek writing this. Jeez, this is crazy. President Trump said that he wants to utilize all forms of energy while comrade Kamala wants to demonize energy producers as she peddles her green new scam. Jesus Christ, bro. Trump campaign spokesperson Stephen Chung told Newsweek. Newsweek reached out to Harris' campaign for an email by comment. However, current federal rules and regulations many of which were passed decades ago to protect the environment, but now slow infrastructure projects needed to meet U.S. government's environmental goals from occurring at the needed pace, make it difficult to construct nuclear power plants on an efficient timeline. And that's fair. And to be fair, I think they probably can be updated. The problem is they're likely just going to be removed, you know? Because I think now that we have a better understanding of what we're working with too, you know, we could probably tone down what's needed before because we already have data onto what's going to happen. But realistically, they're just probably going to remove it, and that's where the scary shit comes. And honestly, if we have another nuclear power plant incident, nuclear power is done for good, and like that may be our one hope for actually getting some sort of clean energy or off of oil. So. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. So we have to produce massive electricity that we don't have, but the environmental impact statements won't allow us to do that, Trump said. The rules and regulations that we currently have won't allow us to do any of it, not even a tiny fraction of it. But if I'm president, we'll be able to do it. Trump's plan to build more nuclear power plants is one that could prove agreeable among Democrats, according to a poll completed in May and updated in August by the Pew Research Center. Majority of Americans support nuclear power in the country. August 5th. Yeah. Fair. Intended to ease the nuclear energy industry's financial and regulatory challenges, reactor shutdowns continue to gradually outpace new construction. Yeah, but where is this? Yeah, only operational ones in California. Seeking to extend operations past scheduled decommission in 2025. Yeah, I think though the problem, and I'm just speaking out of my ass here, like I don't know, but I think that like these existing ones are just outdated in general, and there's just newer, better ways to do things. Like making smaller ones in more locations. But I don't know. More likely to favor expanding solar power and wind power than nuclear power, yet while support for solar and wind power has declined by double digits since 2020, largely driven by drops in Republican support, okay, the share who favor nuclear power has grown by 13 percentage points over that span. Americans are somewhat split. On a balance, more say the government should encourage than discourage nuclear energy, but 36% says government should not exert influence either way. The problem, though, sometimes is, especially corporations, they're going to take the easiest and cheapest path, which is likely not the best path for the environment or the future of like planet Earth, i.e. oil, whatever. And so like, yeah, we just need the government to be like, hey, maybe like do the one that might cost more now, but it'll save you money over time. I don't know. This is interesting. Yeah. It's interesting though that even for Democrats it's this low. Yeah, I mean Trump plans to open up our, federal land for gas drilling, oil drilling, and like, bro, imagine like destroying all of our national parks because gas, when we could just invest more in other alternatives. I don't know. Now 49% of Democrats said they were in favor of expanding nuclear energy sources across the U.S. Also, that's a bit misleading because they should share that like even Republicans were way more supportive, if that's how it's read. Anyways, Democrats are more likely to support clean energy like wind or solar, 88% and 91% of poll takers voicing their support for each source respectively, but neither energy source is completely innocent in its impact on the environment, particularly with regards to harming wildlife. Far more Democrats support nuclear energy than energy acquired from offshore oil or gas drilling, hydraulic fracturing, or coal mining. Yeah, I mean, I think wind is horrible for like birds and shit. I don't know about solar. I haven't heard anything about solar. But I think something important with solar is solar doesn't necessarily mean solar panels. It it also means, like what you see in like Blade Runner. It's like, bunch of mirrors pointed at a single source. Yeah, right here. At a single source, and they just essentially just steam power, or they heat like salt or some shit. Yeah. So I think this is also solar, and I think this does have bad environmental impacts because if a bird flies in front of this thing, bro, that shit is fried chicken. But I mean, look at it, 354 megawatt, like that's huge. And also, I feel like wind and solar is more, it's better for jobs because it's like you just need less skilled labor to manage them. And so that creates opportunities. It's an easier barrier to entry for job creation. Typical cost factor for solar and power includes the cost of modules. It typically lasts 25 to 40 years. Yeah, just the upfront cost is the high. But yeah, anyways. Nuclear has become very good, very safe, said Trump in the Ryan interview. It's also one of the cleanest forms of energy available, which helps bridge the gap between Democrats and Republicans, although the latter are more inclined to support expansions of nuclear power plants. However, the Democrats voicing their support for expanding America's nuclear energy profile has increased by 12 points since 2020, Pew Research Center reported. Yeah, so Trump seems to be pro nuclear, but okay, that was written in August of 2026. Then he goes on the Joe Rogan podcast and takes a skeptical view of it, which was this was just 2 weeks ago, essentially, a week and a half ago. Former President Donald Trump took a skeptical stance on nuclear energy in his recent interview with podcaster Joe Rogan, warning that the source of electricity Republicans voters favor and GOP lawmakers vow to support carries dangers and costs too much. Which, I mean, we just literally read that he said it's safe. Very good, very safe. This is in a different, YouTube podcaster too. It's like, all right, relax. While GOP nominee for president said atomic energy is very clean during his 3-hour conversation with the popular comedian and sports commentator, he repeatedly cited the downsides of a technology his administration supported in the past and his campaign is now vowed to promote if he's elected this month. It's like, bro, in the same podcast, they get too big and too complex and too expensive. There's little danger to nuclear, he continued. We have some really becad Bro, that's what I'm saying, bro. He's so unpredictable. Trump then name-checked 2 proposed reactor projects that went bust during his presidency. 6 months after Trump took office, South Carolina abandoned its $9 billion plant to expand the Virgil Summer nuclear station, which ultimately saw 2 executives jailed for lying to regulators about the viability of the project. Dang. Trump also mentioned Alabama, where just a few months ago, Trump left the White House to Tennessee. Trump also mentioned Alabama, where just a few months after Trump left the White House, the Tennessee Valley Authority gave up construction permits for a new reactor after 47 years. Dang. Only 2 new reactors in the United States has been built from scratch in decades came online in Georgia earlier this year. The legendary U.S. nuclear developer Westinghouse designed the AP1000 reactors built at the site in the early 2000s, initially billing the model as the workhorse of the nuclear renaissance planned under George W. Bush's administration. Does he mention I need to find this is the SMR. Yes, okay, we're good. Each time a reactor's design was tweaked during construction, the developers needed to go back to the NRC for approval, sending the costs skyrocketing. By the time Southern Company hooked the second of the 2 Westinghouse reactors up to the grid in the U.S., this summer, the project cost upward of $35 billion. That's crazy. Trump said he wanted to avoid telling a story long for the show because Rogan's widely focused podcast was too valued to talk about concrete. But concrete's arguably the most valuable material. But he said each time the super hard variety of concrete poured at the nuclear construction site failed to meet specifications, an inspector would say you have to take down a $25 zillion wall. Things costing up to $25 billion. One of them never got open. He suggested a solution: building the same kind of reactor over and over again. France does it. France is largely nuclear, Trump said, and they built small, little, compact plants. And if they build more, they build the same thing and they hook it up. That's interesting because, yeah, I mean, a view of the Grevelsine power station in France with surface area of the nuclear site of 150 acres, a total of 50 MWE. Is that megawatt? That's not megawatts, is it? I mean, but that would be 5 gigawatts essentially if that's megawatts of net installed power. It was one of the top 10 nuclear power plants in the world in 2022. Has 6 pressurized water reactors of 900 MWE In 2022, it produced 28.2 terawatts of low CO2 electricity, which covers the equivalent of the needs of 61% of the annual electricity consumption of France. Dang. That's partly right. France has generated the bulk of its electricity from nuclear plants since building more than 50 reactors between 1973 and 1990 as part of an effort to wean the country off foreign fuel imports. Following the 1973 oil embargo, at its largest nuclear station, France constructed 6 identical reactors in a row, but they aren't small. Each is capable of producing nearly 1,000 megawatts of electricity, roughly just as large and powerful as reactors built in Georgia. Interesting. Faced with the mounting cost of the AP1000 projects in Georgia, the U.S. nuclear industry pitched smaller, less powerful reactors called small modular reactors as a solution on the grounds that a power plant buying 4 at a time to equal the same output as one large unit would bring down construction costs through faster rates of learning. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. But many so-called SMRs relied on plant designs that required similar amounts of concrete and other materials. That suggested the models would actually cost more than the larger traditional units, since less powerful SMRs lost the same economies of scale that come from reactors that generate 1,000 megawatts or more. Interesting. It's like a thought, like yeah, Bill Gates' reactor company is constructing a similar type of pilot project to reactors in Wyoming. Google and Amazon both poured money into next generation SMR companies whose yet unbuilt reactors use coolant other than water. Microsoft's paying $16 billion to help reopen the shuttered reactor at 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant in Pennsylvania. And the Biden administration is putting $1.5 billion to reopen the nation's most recently shuttered atomic energy station in Michigan. I just imagine, like, I read a different article, like, when I was doing more research for this. It is a rabbit hole. So, yeah, it is. And I mean, granted, like, nothing has really come to fruition yet, so. But, yeah, I get this newsletter called The New Money. And it's essentially, like, older, more, like mining companies, nuclear companies like this. But they cover, like, old kind of traditional companies, but new startups who are kind of progressing. And literally there's like a new different nuclear or uranium or something similar startup like every week that they mention. It's crazy. No, The New Money. Oh, yeah, must not be. I'll get it here. But I can't remember where, but there was somewhere other article I was reading, and like before Trump like was like on stage, of course, and he like brought up small modular reactors. The Aussie dude. No, I don't think I've heard of him. And he was like talking about like SMRs, and like I just imagine like the guy, like some like, you know, Trump's like speech guy or something, before he goes on, he's like, hey, like throw in like small modular reactors in your speech, you know, we gotta pump those, you know, we got some donations coming in, you know, just mention small modular reactors. And he's like, how the fuck am I gonna talk about small modular reactors? Like what? Like Trump knows anything. But it's like there's this scene in Veep, and it's like one of the characters starts working for a lobbying firm, and they got him on like some political panel on like CNN or something, and he was like pumped. And then his boss came in, he's like, hey, we got like a new contract for cherries, so when you're in this panel, mention like Glossier cherries in there. And he's like, bro, I'm in a political panel about like, you know, something clearly opposite. It's like, how the fuck am I supposed to mention that? And he actually slips it in. I wish I would have found the scene before, because there's no way I will find it now. Nah, anyways. But yeah, so seems like Trump's pro nuclear, even though he's been bouncing back a bit on it. But that's a good sign, I think. Here we go. This is the new money. The new dot money. Yeah, here we go. Nuclear Energy's betting on laser. Yeah, they always have some shit like that. But yeah, like metal companies and stuff. It's a pretty short newsletter. It's very quick, which is nice. A few companies summarizations there. Yeah, so I mean, Trump, this was a great article that I don't even know if it's an article, but just a great like insight into a lot of his policies that if you're interested, recommend taking a look at. It kind of goes over a lot of things. This is where I found some sources and stuff. Yeah, support for nuclear energy is unclear. He may seek reduce reliance on foreign nuclear materials, but he did that before. Yeah, President Trump has indicated recent weeks support for what some consider controversial approaches of food policy espoused by RFK Jr. Bro, I swear to God, if he puts him in charge of health, like, we're more doomed than we already are. Including limiting pesticide use and addressing risk of artificial food, an undefined term. He wants to get rid of fluoride in water. Such proposals would face stiff opposition from many food and agricultural stakeholders, including Republican legislators. So it's unclear to what extent Trump will carry out. Yeah, bro, he's scared of fluoride. We're gonna have a dental crisis break out. The like most random ass thing that would never, like, you would never think happening. Right, I don't know how actually beneficial it is, but yeah. Okay, there you go. Exactly. I guess it's just a weird thing to like be focused on. It's like, first thing I'm doing, fluoride out of water. It's like, okay, like but yeah. So yeah, we'll see what he actually goes through. I wanna focus on, you know, more as the tech policies, kind of emerging tech and his tariffs here. I wanna cover these. Yeah, Fleur makes their kid autistic. Yeah, like that's the kind of shit like he thinks, you know. That's what the base thinks. That's why. But yeah, so I'm curious of his tariffs and what his stance on a lot of technologies. I'll be covering that when it happens. And yeah, that's all I've planned. I already kind of covered this, but this is like my last thing I wanted to look at. But there's not much news here. It's just a trend, I think, that's happening. All these AI companies going towards defense stuff. So yeah, next stream Monday. We'll have a deep dive Monday like we did this Monday with Decar AI. Right now I'm kind of leaning towards that effective accelerationism subsect because it's interesting. I want to see if there's any maybe thing that comes out of Trump being president, but we'll see what I'm interested in. Just expect the deep dive Monday, 8 a.m. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully got a better idea of some of his Trump's views on some crypto stuff. Oh wait. Nah, I forgot I had this one more for big tech. I was blended in, but we already know where this is going. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, next stream Monday, 8 a.m. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you then. Monday. Dude, the AI, this ended up being way better than I thought it turned out. Because I wanted to be like a cyberpunk dystopia. That's what we're going towards. That's the timeline we're on. Yeah, thanks for watching.